Well, welcome everybody.
Good
Go ahead.
afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Entrepreneur Factory weekly training series. We have our special host, Boyd Peterson. He's a man among men, a father among fathers, a grandpa among grandpas, as well as a social media expert and author. He's all these crazy, crazy things. I sometimes wonder how he has time to do it all.
I don't.
He seems to handle it quite nicely. So, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, first off, I got to introduce you. So, this Jim, he's the other half of this duo. And, he's Mr. Crazy. Okay, he's settled down a little bit. He used to jump out of airplanes, and especially burning ones, and he would also go diving with sharks and having too much fun, traveling the world. But he had to settle down. So he's just slightly less aggressive right now. So anyway, today we're going to be talking about the 10 ways extremely confident people train their minds every day. And so it's the 10 habits of the most confident people is the name of it. We picked this up as an article from Inc., but it's going to be fun to talk about. So we're going to get started with it. Do you want to start or do you want me to?
I'll go ahead and take the first section, and I'm going to define it as finding your purpose. And so it's really, really difficult to have confidence, to speak clearly, speak confidently, if you don't know what your purpose is.
Yeah.
And I mean more than just your purpose for being in business or something like that. But what's your purpose in life? Are you? We have a friend who actually he was the co-host or the sponsor, I guess, the sponsor host at the networking day today, and he's so sincere. And there's no question he comes across as truly, truly caring. And I know what Ron's purpose is. Oops, I didn't mean to say him. But I know what his purpose is. I know how he thinks, and he, he really cares. And it's great to see that come across in a person. So,
Well, and one of the things with that same thing is if you've defined your purpose, then you're going to internalize it really well. And then it becomes, it's like you write a purpose statement and it becomes everything that you talk about connects with that purpose statement. And so it's important to have that purpose of whatever you're hoping to do in life. So, yes. Any last things on that?
No, just define your purpose and stay confident.
Okay, well, one of the other things that I really love is the next thing is to avoid comparing yourself with others. And I've got a good story to go along with this. So I have a friend who is a long distance runner. And in fact, he runs marathons all the time. And one of the times I asked him when he got finished with the race, I said, so did you come in first place? And he says, I beat my time that I have done before. And I said, well, tell me more about that. And he says, I don't race against everybody else. I race against my own time. So I'm always improving my time. I don't care what they are doing, but I am always improving my time. Now, interesting enough, about 2 or 3 times later, he set the new record for the entire course of everybody. Now, he's 68 years old. Even the 34-year-olds could not keep up with him. He just set the record. But it is all about, you just need to improve yourself every day. Don't compare yourself to others. And that will help you so that you have more confidence because you're not trying to be like somebody else. You're being like you.
I've heard it said many times that the only person you need to compare yourself to is the better version of yourself or who you want to be. So he obviously set a record at 60, not really caring what anybody else, but wanting to be himself.
That's it. And so that's the one of the things that really helps people with high confidence. They don't care, about anybody else, how good they are. They just know that they're better today than they were yesterday. Okay.
That's awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Boyd. You're full of great stories. Um, so that the next thing that we want to mention is that you need to stay focused on a solution and really stay keenly focused on that solution. You don't want to have a lot of negative talk or surround yourself with, I can't do that or I can't accomplish that. Focus on your solution. You know, what are you going to do to overcome that issue or that problem? And it doesn't matter, again, whether it's a manufacturing issue or, you know, it's something in your personal life. I heard it mentioned recently that Steve Jobs is kind of famous for this, and he, you know, would go into like planning meetings at his company at Apple, and he'd say, "This is what I want, guys," and he's talking to a pile of engineers, and they would kind of snicker and laugh and say, "Well, that can't be done. We clearly can't do that." And he basically would just say, "I don't give a shit. That's what I want done. You guys go figure it out." And so he would push people harder and better to come up with creative solutions and figure out how to do things that nobody else had done. And he was kind of, I think, rumor is that he was kind of infamous for that, but he was also nasty sometimes. So,
Well, you know, I was reading somewhere that sometimes he was really nasty to the people who said it can never be done, because he said, no, it's just that it hasn't been done. And that was one of the things that he kept telling people. You know, when we look at things, we think of all the innovative things we could come up with. What could it be? And I'm going to tell a story here. You know, there was a program on TV a few years ago, probably 20, 25 years ago, and it was all about all the things that we now have in our lives today because of Star Trek. When Gene Roddenberry thought about Star Trek and he thought about the future, many people say he didn't think far enough in advance. But he thought of all these new things that we did not have, you know, like cell phones today. You know, we never had that, you know, and of course the flip phone was patterned after what he had in the first series. You know, the opening doors automatically. Yeah, they were using real people to actually open them in the background. But you know what? It was only about 4 years later they figured out how to do it without people having to do that opening of the doors. And it talked about a lot of different things that has come out from that. And it's all about focusing on solutions, really is. It's not about this can't be done. It's that it hasn't been done yet. And we're going to figure that out.
you know, it's interesting. I'm going to give away the date of today's episode. It's clearly the 20th of July. And I sat there this morning and watched Jeff Bezos blast off into space. And I did the same thing the other day with the Virgin spaceship or Benson.
Yeah.
It strikes me as unbelievable that people would spend their, you know, not their entire life, but most of their adult life training to be an astronaut. I mean, literally training for years and years and years. And these guys this morning, like an 18-year-old, it wasn't even announced that he was going to go into space till a week ago. They gave him, you know, like a crash course in 2 or 3 days. And then this morning he walked out of an SUV up a elevator and walked onto a spaceship and got blasted into space. It's never been done before. And just like, you know, Roddenberry was certainly a visionary with his communicators. I mean, we all have a communicator in our pocket.
Yeah.
You know, what was not mainstream back then is mainstream today, and it just you know, you kind of have to feel fortunate that we live in the time that we do. Some of us maybe don't live far enough into the future, and some of us maybe feel like they should have been in the past. But it's absolutely exciting today to see space travel become very, very mundane or almost ordinary.
That is so true. Well, do
Yeah.
you know what today is?
Um,
The
so-
anniversary of the landing on the moon.
Oh, is that it?
It
That's so
is July 20th, 1969. And so, I remember that. And I remember when John Glenn jumped off the end of it, of the leg of it. And, these are things that inspire people. And it's all about focusing on a solution. Think of all the challenges in 1969 they had to overcome to land a person on the moon. I mean, we haven't landed a person on the moon since 1976, but
Mhm.
We have a lot more technology today. In fact, my phone has more technology and power in it than they had in the entire NASA at that time. I mean, it's amazing how much we have. And this is, it's all about focusing on solutions. And that's what you see, like Elon Musk and Branson and Bezos. All of these people are now becoming the visionaries for our future.
It would be hard to see Neil Armstrong going like this with his phone, trying to get instructions on how to land where he wasn't supposed to. But
Yes, absolutely. So,
taking a minute. Anyway, you absolutely need to focus on solutions, focus on the future, and play to not only your best self, even your employees or your contractors' best selves or work. So,
right. So play to your strengths is that is the next thing.
exactly.
You know what? You and I and some other people, we teach entrepreneurs about this very thing. You've got to know what your strength is. If you don't know what your strength is, you're not going to be very good at whatever it is you're doing. A lot of entrepreneurs, they come into it and they have a strength at engineering, or they have a strength at manufacturing something, or sometimes they have the strength of being a great salesperson, but they don't know how to put it all together. And it's once you know what your strength is, then you can get others to join you that have the strengths that you don't have. Jerry Maguire, he talked about, one of the famous lines in there is, "You complete me." Trust me, in a business, two people usually don't complete each other completely in a business setting. You've got to have three or four at least sometimes. And like you and I are partners, but I mean, we're looking for a new bookkeeper. Those are things that we know we don't do very well at. And so we are always looking for someone like that. Or, but we got to play to our strengths. What is the
It's
strength?
intriguing as well, because you mentioned entrepreneurs. We both clearly have a passion
Yeah.
for helping them. People sometimes don't recognize that they suck. And when I say that, you might be the world's best engineer. If you can't manage people, by all means, let somebody else manage your people for you. At least me, I suck at bookkeeping. So hire a bookkeeper and let them do it. They can do in minutes what would take me a long time to figure out, because
Exactly.
it just doesn't make sense. So always play to your strengths. And I was going to go on, we'll give another analogy, but you guys get the picture. I mean, if you're not a salesman, don't try and be a salesman. Do what you do best.
Yeah, to start with what you do best. Now, if you want to get in and start learning sales, that's good, but you got to probably have somebody else that's going to be the main person to do it. Otherwise, you're going to be sucking wind a lot. And that's
Exactly.
the hard thing.
And it's expensive to the learning curve.
It
It can be
is.
very, very expensive. So especially if you're an entrepreneur and you're just starting out, you can hire out some of these tasks.
Well, I used to run the community newspaper, and I used to tell people that it would take about between 3 and 6 months to train a good salesperson to sell the newspaper product. Well, if I had a person that I found who already had those skills because they were really good at selling and had done some other sales in advertising. It took him all of about 2 days.
Mhm.
Okay. Playing to his strengths is what we did. And he was very good at it. So,
You know, that kind of leads me into the next topic I want to discuss. And the best way to describe this is fake it till you make it.
mhm,
And in some situations, especially as an entrepreneur, especially as a business person, you don't have all the answers. And you're going to have to fake it till you make it. There's a great story about Microsoft and Bill Gates didn't have all the stuff that he needed to make an appropriate presentation, and actually wrote a program while he was on a flight between one vendor and another, and basically came up with the software that he needed. He was faking it at his first presentation, and he made it at the second presentation, and then God knows he made it all the way around. So fake it till you make it.
so I gotta say though, there are times when you need to simply say, I don't know. And you have to have the confidence to be able to say that sometimes. There are times when they want to say, you don't want to oversell something. This is what I'm saying, is if somebody's saying, can it do this? If you don't know if it can do that, don't fake then. But fake that you got to fake the um, you've got to build on the confidence that you're going to make it. Just don't oversell something.
Don't outright lie or be an imposter.
Yeah,
But in fact, every good salesman, at least in my opinion, hedges their bet a little bit, and it's like, well, yeah, I can make it do that. You can't come across as insincere or an imposter. You
right.
must have the confidence to be able to say, yeah, I can do that. Or, yeah, I think we can make it do that. Let me do some investigation.
Yeah, that's the thing is, you can fake it till you make it, but don't lie to get the sale, because it will come back to bite you, especially if you have oversold it. So,
Yeah, guaranteed it will come back.
yeah.
So,
The next one is really for a lot of people. They say, well, I got to do this, I got to do that, I've got to get this other thing. No, you got to start by taking action. You got to start, go. It may not be perfect. Don't worry about that. You take what you have and go with it. I used to work for a company that was called Bondwell. They were a computer company. It was the first computer company that came out with notebook computers. And it was a bunch of engineers who had left another company, and they started these because the other company said, oh, that's something that'll be crazy and nobody will ever buy it. Well, they went out on their own and they started doing it. I was one of their salespeople here in the Wasatch Front. And every month we would have a meeting, and they say, well, we've got some good news and bad news. Good news is we're going to be adding this feature to it. And, we're going to add this much more memory, or we're going to do this, or we're going to make it a little larger. The bad news is because of that, we're not going to actually have it out for another 3 months. Well, this kept going on, and it was always 3 months out. I had hundreds of them sold with what they had already done, but they wouldn't stop and go. They wanted to always make it perfect. This is what we used to call the engineering problem. When an engineer's in charge, it's never done, it's never finished, it'll never sell because they never release it. And that's what happened to the company. The company got close to bankruptcy and they ended up selling themselves. Yeah, IBM bought them. You ever heard of the notepad that they had? That was Bondwell.
yeah.
And we see how much that notebooks have taken over the world. They're more, everybody has one under their arm. Yes, they have a cell phone too, but notebooks are where it's at.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to carry a desktop around. So
yeah, it really is.
it's practical. It makes sense to have a notebook.
Well, so take action. The key is you don't have to have it perfect. I was at a conference a few weeks ago, and there was this guy who was talking about creating a a course, and he kept saying, "I don't care that it's not complete yet. Launch." And as you go along, you're going to refine the course and you're going to update the course. And he says, but if you don't launch, it'll be 2.5 years from now, and you still won't have launched, and you're out of money.
Mhm.
And you have to take action. And it's the fear that paralyzes you. Ignore that fear. Go ahead, start it, launch it, announce it. Put yourself under the gun sometimes.
You know, I was at a conference recently, and you know, I also try and educate myself and stay up on things. That was the point of the conference was we know it's not perfect, but take the action, release the product, and then improve it, release updates, you know, however you want to describe it. By all means, get the action, get it in motion. Then you can kind of self-fund was the point of this conference. If you are going to go bankrupt because you never release anything, you know, that's on you. If you release it and it's not perfect, you can update it or do all these other things, and you'll have a viable product eventually. Um, so go ahead and
Well,
release the action.
well, think of Microsoft again. We talked about them a little bit ago. If they hadn't launched and they were waiting until it was perfect, would they have ever launched? Because even now they're still trying to improve on it. They're still trying to make it better. But they stop and they launch, and they are always improving it. And of course, they have to do updates when they miss thinking about something, but that's okay. People will forgive them because they're willing to upgrade and get things taken care of. But you got to launch or you
Yeah.
have nothing.
This was a few years back. I had a C-level executive at Microsoft, or he was a good buddy of mine. We worked in comparable companies, and he told me his big secret, and that was when Microsoft got something 70% ready to released, they would just simply release it. And the beta testers were the public that bought it. And you know, inevitably, if you'd find a bug, you'd report it, and they would fix it. But he said, as soon as it's 70%, we release. So that's a good way to think about Microsoft. The way
That's
they,
why I always wait till the second or third release of that software.
if you want to be a beta tester, have the cutting edge stuff, then that's what they do.
Well,
So let's move on a little bit.
yeah.
So I have to tell you about a quick story yesterday. I was had a Zoom conference with a programmer, and this programmer had been talked up to me. Such a smart guy. He's such a smart programmer. And when he got on the Zoom conference with us, he had this long, scraggly hair, and it was like, rah, and he had one of those T-shirts that looked like he pulled the collar down and never, you know, it looked like it was
Stretch out.
So yeah, and this guy did not have any pride in his appearance. He was walked up to me so much. I really expected to see, you know, like this knight in shining armor, but he didn't have any pride. He didn't have any pride in his appearance. He didn't have any pride in the way he looked. Yeah, apparently the guy could program. I mean, I'd seen some of his stuff, but no, you don't even feel great if you don't look good.
Right.
You know? And you know, I tend to wear shorts and a golf shirt most of the time. I'm completely comfortable in that attire. So if and sometimes it's situational. I know that Boyd's had been forced to wear a suit before, and when it's situationally appropriate, we all have them. We all put them on. But if you can get away with a golf shirt like we're both wearing today, what? So if that's where you're comfortable, that's where you feel confident. By all means, wear the clothes that you want and be comfortable.
Well, that's the thing, and it doesn't have to be a suit or even leisure, business leisure or business casual. you can whatever it is you wear. You look at some of the big names um, in any industry, and some of them are wearing T-shirts and jeans. But you know what? They always look good, and they always exuberate. That's the wrong word. Anyway, they always look
Yeah.
confident in what they're wearing. And it's because, they've dressed specifically for that conference or that show or that meeting or that interview. You look at Richard Branson, and sometimes he's dressed like he's going out skydiving the next day or that afternoon. But it's always in something that fits him, and it looks good on him, and it doesn't matter that he's not wearing a suit. Very seldom will you see him wearing a suit. Occasionally, I have seen a couple pictures of him in suits, but he's going to a banquet or something. But he dresses appropriately, and he has his own style, and he dresses with pride. And that's the thing. Dress with pride, you will feel more confident. I was talking to a person one time, and they said, when I wear this outfit, I feel like I can conquer the world. I says, well, why don't you wear that outfit more often? He says, because I'm not always as confident in that. And, it might overwhelm. And I said, you need to wear more then, or find several of those type of outfits. And so they have. So whenever you see them, they feel confident, and they do just really show that confidence is in their appearance.
I'm going to tell you something really funny. The confidence comes through without a doubt. And years and years ago, when I very first started skydiving, I had a lucky pair of shoes. I wore those things out skydiving because they were my lucky shoes. And I felt good at them. I had confidence in them, and they were my lucky shoes. So today I had, those things are long gone. And you don't have to be superstitious about things. But I have a tie that if I'm going to go close a deal, I'm going to wear that tie. It's a good power tie. And you just dress situationally. And and Branson's the great example. He always looks good, but of course, if you're worth $1 billion, you can afford to dress that way. He always looks good, and so dress for the appropriate situation, and that's good. So.
And in whatever way you feel that you're comfortable in, So one of the other things that this leads into is you always need to be focusing on the positive. If you're dressing well, you're going to feel positive about yourself, and you should always be focusing on the positive of everything. Now, there's a lot of people who they go into a situation and somebody starts saying, oh, I've talked to so-and-so, and they want to tell you all the bad things about them. You need to take the higher road. You need to talk positive. You don't need to downplay them. You don't even need to give any attributes they might have. Just simply be positive. If you're positive, it's going to attract people like a magnet.
Mm-hmm. If you want to be positive, one good technique is to focus on your accomplishments.
Yes.
And we all have failures. Hopefully, I have fewer than others, but focus on things that are positive. Focus on your accomplishments. I did do this. I did accomplish this, and it'll take a little bit of the negative oxygen out of the air and get rid of it, because you're always in a positive mode. You're always talking about things that you were successful at, things that your company did. And we've interviewed a guy on our radio show recently. It really struck me when he started to get negative a little bit about some things that had changed in his life and stuff. And he did, we drug him back from the trenches, if you will. But he was sincerely down about a couple of things, and his life really turned around for the better. It was an interesting little conversation that we had with him to get him back into that positive mode. It made all the difference talking about his successes rather than any failures.
Well, there's always a time when you may need to tell about some of the things that have put you where you are, and it could be the negative things, but you've got to bring it around so that you're bringing the positive. You keep focusing on what is working now, and you, instead of what's not working then. So yes, you may need to start on that. And we see a lot of this. You see the people who say, I had such a bad upbringing, and I had this and I had that, and I had everything going against me, and then they turn it around, and it's part of their why. And that is, I was able to move past that. I had this person who inspired me. Whatever it might have been, it's taking that negative and bringing it positive. And you want to try to focus on the positive almost all of the time. There's that occasion when it should be brought in, but it needs to finish on that very strong positive, right?
Focus on what's working, not what's not working.
Yes.
And you'll win the day, which clearly takes us into the next category here, the next step, which is always be ready. And this is where I have to say that I think both Boyd and I are successful in this arena, that we study and we focus, we prepare, and then when the opportunity presents itself, we have the knowledge, and we're prepared to pounce on that opportunity and run with it. If it's a change in social media or a new platform or the way Google works, both of us are up to speed all the time. And when that opportunity crosses the bridge, we're there to meet it and run with it.
And greet it, yes. So, a lot of times you hear of people who they missed opportunities, and it's mainly because they didn't feel like they were ready for it. Where sometimes you just got to simply grab that opportunity and go with it. And there are times when maybe it's not appropriate, but most of the time, if it's the right opportunity, you should. Now, having too many opportunities is a bad thing, but be ready for the right ones. Be ready for you've prepared yourself, and then all of a sudden the opportunity comes. That's when it's time to slip into it and take that opportunity and run it to the bank.
Yes, that is a fact. That is a fact.
Yeah. And of course, with all of that, with all of these things that we've talked about, you've got to understand one really strong thing, and it is embrace the power of body language. Now, if you ever watch some of the greats that are always online somewhere, Elon Musk, Richard Branson, any of these people, Jeff Bezos, when they are there, they're speaking with great body language. They don't just stand there and go like this, and people don't like when somebody is just boring as heck. They want to hear them speak with their body as well. They say that only 9% of communication is the words that you give. The next is how you express those words. And then the next is the body language you give. That's why having Zoom or in-person meetings is much better than simply talking on the phone, because on the phone, you're only getting 21% of that, what is being said. Where talking, Jim and I talking against each other, you see what's interesting to each other. And so embrace the power of body language, and don't be afraid to use your hands. I had my kids one time said, "Dad, if we tie your hands down, you won't be able to speak." And that's true. I don't quite use them as much as I used to, but when I'm making a point, I'm using my hands. When I want to express great confidence, you use your hands, you use your face, you use your whole body. And that's what you need to do, because your body speaks louder than any words.
It's interesting because knowing what our topic was today, I've watched both of us. We speak with our hands,
We do.
and I know that at one of our networking events, we have a microphone and a camera set so that we do a hybrid where there's people in the room and there's people up on the Zoom conference. And when I presented the last two times, who was kind of running the AV at the time, I kept saying, come back to the microphone, come back to the microphone, because I wanted to walk around the room. I wanted to walk across the stage. I don't stay in one place. And even people at some of my PowerPoint presentations before COVID said, oh my gosh, you take full advantage of that stage and you move around. And it's I think I'm fascinating to watch. So
Well, and I agree with that, and I do, when I'm on a stage too, I do that too. I move back and forth and speak to the audience. And I do like it when there's somebody that's got a microphone that's on you instead of a microphone on a stand. I hate those, but you only can use what you have, I guess.
yeah.
But the other thing though with that is it allows you to use your body language much more expressively.
Mhm.
You and I both work with several different people who are public speakers. And the difference between a good public speaker and a great public speaker is they know how to use body language. I have seen people who they'll stand at the microphone at a podium and they'll hold on to it like, oh my gosh, I'm going to fall down if I don't hold on with dear life.
Mhm.
And they speak, and that's all. Yes, you hear the inflection of their voice, and you see their face, but they're not speaking with their body. And then you get the person who comes up on the stage after them, and he grabs the microphone out of the podium, and he walks the stage, and he talks from people to person to person to person, and to a group of people, and you see them using body language in a way of showing confidence, but of power.
You started kind of this segment as saying, embrace the power of your body language. And that's the key word in that sentence might be power.
Power.
It is powerful to be able to express yourself and use the whole stage and use an audio visual like a PowerPoint or whatever. But you have to connect with those people. And it's your body language, as you mentioned, that will connect.
Yeah. In fact, when I used to do presentations all over, I would love a lavalier mic rather than a handheld mic because it allowed me to talk with both hands.
Yeah.
And some of these speakers, they love to have that microphone right here, and then they speak with the other hand. And I say, you're missing half of your language. So, but
well, I think that as we're talking about confidence, it also gives them something like that podium or something to hide behind. You
yeah,
have a microphone that you're carrying, you're protecting yourself. If you're confident, you're going to want to use both hands and emphasize stuff and not hide behind anything. Know your topic, know your sales pitch, whatever it is. You don't need to hide behind anything to
no,
really do that.
yeah. And
Which I'm going to move us on to one last thing, and this is an unknown entity to you.
okay,
I'm going to say that there's no real magical solution. It's all of these things working together. I'm famous for saying, it's
yep,
circles within circles. But the last little tidbit that I want to drop is self-speak, or how you talk to yourself, or how you can include confidence by your language. And if you believe that and I'm going to say, I am worthy, I am enough, I am capable of winning the long distance race or whatever. I'm not capable. um, I'm not as good as your 60-year-old buddy. But if you're confident in yourself and the way you speak to yourself, that's going to make all the difference in the world.
There's a couple of big name speakers that they talk specifically about that you have to, if you don't have the confidence right up front, then you should build the confidence by, in the mirror, when you're shaving or when you're putting on makeup, depending on if you're a guy or a girl, you read something you put on the mirror that says, I am going to have a great day. I am going to be confident. I am going to take the world by storm. Whatever it might be that you need to hear, you tell yourself that, and your subconscious will internalize that. And then as you go through the day, it will start coming out of you that you are all those things. And sometimes it takes weeks before that happens, but usually it can happen within minutes, that you're suddenly more confident, more energized, more able to express yourself the way you want.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, so it's a great idea to put it on the mirror. I just know that the way I talk to my inner self is going to make an impact on my day.
and I read an article not long ago, and it was talking about there's a lot of women who do not have the self-confidence that men do. And part of that has been the environment, of, oh, women can't do that as well as men. It's completely false, but people believe that, and they've got to get past that. We now see, the head of Google is now a woman. The head of most, well, not most, a lot of corporations that are big corporation is a woman. But it's because they've broken out of that mold of thinking that they're less than what they are. They have the power to be anything. And men, you need to be able to embrace that as well, because you can be confident that you can work with them, not against them. And that's the key. Together we can all rise, and confidence is something everyone needs. And so build it up in each other.
That's a great point. Who you surround yourself with is going to make a huge difference. Unwitting mentors that are positive and think highly of you and feed off of what they say. That sometimes are going to be critical, but other times they're going to do nothing but support you. So listen to that language, listen to all of that, and you will be a winner. I'm going to tell all of you right now, if you're listening to this, you're winners. Do you have anything else, Boyd, for us?
Nope, I think that's it. Just the key here is do these 10 things, and you will find, yes, maybe you only work on one at a time. Maybe you work on 2 or 3. You'll never get all 10 of them at a time, or actually some of these you may have already mastered, but go ahead and work on 1 or 2 at a time and build that up. So let me restate them again. So the first one is define your purpose, avoid comparing yourself with others, focus on the solutions, not the problems, play to your strengths, fake it till you make it, take action, take pride in your appearance, focus on the positive, be ready for anything, and embrace the power of body language. Thank you for being here today.
Hang on, there's
oh yes,
one more. The next one, of course, is
oh yeah, just going on.
Speak. Yeah, there's recognize there's no magic, and that's like Boyd had mentioned. Improve yourself one at a time. Then the next day, be your better self, and talk positively to yourself, your inner self, and you're going to be good there.
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim.
Listen, you have a great day, everyone, and tell all your friends about our training sessions. Where can they be found, Boyd?
So for the next 2 weeks, They're generally found on YouTube, and then they're moved to our program that we have, which is a training program that you can find at Entrepreneur Factory, entrepreneur-factory.com. And so look for it there. Anyway, thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.